Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. 1 point earned or 2 points lost? That is the question tonight, guys. With Napoli dropping points or earning a point, depending on how optimistic or pessimistic you are, against a good Como side, a side that only has one lost this season. I think they have one of the best players in the Serie A in Nico Pads. They have a good coach that plays nice football. It's a team that we lost against the last time we faced them, away from home though, at Como. So definitely, let's contextualize this result, uh, because over the course of a season, I think that it's impossible that you win all 38 games. I think it's absolutely necessary to win the ones against your nearest rivals because they are 6 pointers. And so, for example, we did that against Inter, and that's super, super important. We need to do the same against Roma in a few weeks' time. We lost a chance to do that against Milan, but those are the more critical games because it's a, a 6 point swing if you think about it. But then there's those games, I think, that you play against the likes of Como, the likes of Bologna, Lazio, these teams that sit between fourth and eighth. And my opinion on those type of games is just don't lose them. Just don't lose them. They're not 6 pointers. So just get at least 1 point. And if the other teams around you, Inter, Roma, whatever, if they go on and win their games this weekend, you've only lost 2 points. If we think weekend by weekend, at most you lose 2 points, right? So I would much rather tie against Como and win against Inter than the other way around. But that's assuming, right, that over the course of 38 games you can't go and win everything. And it's assuming that against the smaller teams you do pick up points, the likes of Genoa, Lecce, all these guys, and we have, to be fair, done that, right? We played against Lecce just a few days ago. We got 3 points. We suffered. We had to save yet again another penalty, but the point is that we got the 3 points, right? So look, guys, the way I see it is it's a point earned. I'm putting up the poll, and there seems to be a few more pessimists than optimists on the chat today because the 2 points lost is winning. I don't know if you guys see the live scores, but I have, at least on my screen as the moderator, I see what's happening, and there's 61% in favor of lost, and obviously then 39 in favor of earned. But the way I see it is that these are crucial points for the Scudetto, guys. These are points that you look back and you say, thank goodness Milinkovic Savic saved that penalty. Thank goodness we didn't drop a point against Como because that point could be the difference, right? And this is a team that they are going to take points out of at least one of Roma, Milan, and Inter at some point. Whether they do that away from home or at home, it doesn't really matter. But I just cannot see this Como team walking out of those 6 games against those three teams with 0 points. Out of 18 total against those three teams, home and away, they're gonna come out with some points. And it's just that type of side, Como, that's just going to be there chipping away at some points. And we had them at the start of the season as some dark horses for European football. They're confirming that, and look, I think that's just the way to interpret this game. Obviously, guys, we played horrible, right? I mean, I'm not able to read the name of this comment. I think it's maybe the first time I see this person commenting. So welcome to the channel. And this person says today we played horrible, and that's true. We did play horrible, and that's why the 1 point is so precious. That's why it's so precious, guys, because when Juventus plays horrible, they lose. When Inter plays horrible, they lose. When Milan plays horrible, they lose. So, guys, when we play horrible and we don't lose, that's worth something. It's worth a lot. It's two clean sheets in a row, guys, now. And we're starting to go back to the Conte of last year, just solid at the back. We had been letting way too many goals in the last few weeks. And I think we just need to think about these kind of positives that we kept another clean sheet. We got a point against a very good Como side that has nothing to lose, guys. These guys really like 20-year-old kids with nothing to lose. Of course, they're going to come to the Maradona and play how they need to play. And it's obviously a very different Como side to the one that was there last year. Before that, they were kind of new to the Serie A. They were, you know, uh, kind of maybe scared to come to these grounds. Now these are players that have a lot of experience, even though they're young, and they come out and they play the way that they know how, even away from home. And that's why I think that they're gonna cause Inter, Milan, and Roma as well a lot of trouble. So I'm not so worried about this result. The players had no urgency tonight, says Laurentio. Look, I think to some extent that's true, and that's a little bit worrying. Um, but I also feel like there's just some games where deep down the players just know that it's really, really hard to win. Um, and and I think this was one of those games where they were just happy to keep it 0-0, not to risk it too much. And then we put on some pressure in the last 10 minutes and we said, okay, let's see what we can do. Nothing really happened. And that's it. And look, I think that they go back to the dressing room kind of happy, to be honest, to have this 0-0. And maybe that's a little bit why there's no urgency, because I think deep down the players understood that if you tie this game, it's not the end of the world. Let's go to some earlier comments, guys. Foxdrop says this was an expected outcome. Como came to play for a draw, a lot of time wasting and flopping by the players, says Lex. Anyways, Gutierrez has a bright future ahead of him. Great player he will be. So Como, this is another kind of reason why I think that this is a good result, because they showed a lot of maturity, right? And this is not the young Como of 1 or 2 years ago. This is a Como that knows exactly what they need to do to win the game. Just think that in the stoppage time, one of their defenders goes down with a cramp. It's minute 93.24. And I know this because I got super upset. It's 23-24. The game starts again at 93:55, 31 seconds later, and yet the referee blows the whistle for full time at minute 94:09. So they wasted 31 seconds and the referee only added 9 extra. So 20 seconds disappeared. 20 seconds lost. And that's something that experienced teams do. And you expect this kind of behavior from teams that are fighting for relegation. They're fighting for regulation, so they time waste. They know they can't get a win and all that. But maybe the Como of last year, they would have felt that they were a bit more superior, and instead of time wasting, they would have tried to get a final goal right at the end, put everybody forward, and then maybe conceded a counterattack and actually lose the game. But this is a very, very cunning Como side, much more experienced. They know that a draw for them as well is good enough, and they're willing to play these kind of tactics. And when a team that is in fifth, fourth place plays this kind of tactics, you know that you're up against a very smart team, a team that knows when the nil-nil is good enough for them. And Napoli, to be fair, was the same. Napoli did not want to risk it. 1 point is better than zero. And I think both teams knew that this was a 0-0 game, unless something really special happened. But we were very good as well at not letting their most special player do something special. Because Nico Pads, apart from a few shots here and there, didn't really have the best game of his career, right? And I think part of that was because we were really good at making sure that Nico Pads didn't get into the right positions, and we didn't give him time and space to get his head up that much. And he had to actually go in the second half quite far back to touch the ball, instead of getting it in the number 10 position. Likewise, they made sure that Hoyland and Mctominay didn't get the ball as well in positions where they wanted to get it. So look, everybody played the game that they needed to play, a very cunning game, a very mature game, and you had two good but mature teams, and this is the result that you get in the Serie A, with two teams where both of them just did what they had to do. Anthony says you never really know with this team. I guess, but maybe this was kind of expected, right? I mean, I don't think we could have really expected champagne football today. Obviously, some of you guys are saying that we should attack more to score. I think Conte wants to focus on Champions League. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Conte wants to focus on the Champions League. I think the Serie A has to be the priority, guys. Spina was subbed off at halftime because actually he's also injured now. I don't know if you guys heard, but Napoli came out with a statement saying that the substitution at halftime between Spinazzola and Gutierrez was because of another muscle injury hitting the team. So today, two players out with muscle injuries, both Billy Gilmore and Spinazzola, and that's another theme of this year, guys. That's another theme of this year. Let's see some more comments, guys. I'm good with a draw. Worst case scenario was like a 3-0 loss. I think, look, let's not forget that we also have to say thank you to Vanja Milinkovic Savic, VMS, because otherwise Como would have gone ahead and it would have been a completely different game. And it's easy to forget about that sometimes. Adi says Como were disgusting. They came to kill the game and go home with a 0-0, and they got what they wanted. I think we had very similar attitude to Como. I think we were here for a 0-0. I think the players, if you told them before the game that we would tie against Como, they would have signed. They would have said, "Where do I sign?" I'm pretty sure that's what happened because, at least from the way that they played, that's the sort of intentions that I saw from them. Um, let's go to some more recent comments, guys. Apologies, I cannot get to every single one of them. McTominay tried a lot today, but sadly it wasn't enough, says Gustavo. Yeah, and he seemed a little bit nervous as well towards the end, a little bit with the referee. Um, it's good to see, though. It's good. I like to see that, the players cared, because one thing is wanting to maybe being okay with a 0-0, and another thing is completely being a pushover and not caring, right? I think that they wanted the 0-0, but they also cared. I don't know if that makes sense, but um, they 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 did they did put in, the tackles. They did put in a shift. They did care when the referee blew and it wasn't the right decision. I'm not saying that playing for 0-0 means you don't care. Actually, to play for 0-0 against Como, you have to care. You have to put in a lot of effort, and that's what I saw today. What I didn't see was, the champagne football going forward, but in defense and in the midfield, I saw this willingness to go for the tackles and to put a foot in. So I'm happy at least on that side. Payman says positives. Apart from the Pen Como, there was no threat. 2 games, 2 clean sheet. Gutierrez and Lobo are back. Negatives. 3 penalties in a row. Di Lorenzo and Politano, as well as Lang and Luca, we create little. Yeah, this is a really interesting thing about the 3 penalties in a row. It's becoming a bit of a habit now. Um, it's a bit weird, right? To get all these penalties. I think all three of them are legit penalties. I don't see any kind of refereeing malice in it, but it's just us needing to be a little bit more careful. And I think if we go back a few more games, there was also a Politano penalty a few weeks back. So it's 4 penalties already this season. We just need to be a little bit more concentrated at the back over there. Let's go to this question, guys, which has a bit nothing to do with the game, um, but it's an interesting one from Gustavo. Says how we feel about Spalletti at Juve. In my opinion, I just can't be mad at him. Um, it's a bit of a strange one. So for sure, I did not expect Spalletti to come back to Serie A or go back to Juve. um, After the Scudetto in Napoli, I thought, and with the national team as well, I thought maybe he'd want to maybe try something, maybe abroad or something. I definitely didn't expect him to go back into the firing line in such a high stakes club like Juve because guys, he's nearly ruined his reputation ever since the whole Italian national team fiasco experience. And now, if he doesn't do well against Juventus, people might start to forget what he did at Napoli. I think the best thing Spalletti could have done for his career after Napoli was to just retire, end it on a high. You're already in your 60s. Bro, just go home, enjoy, get a mojito somewhere, and just chillax. That's what I would have done in his place. But he decided to take on the Italy job. Fine. But once you mess that up, I think you need to retire, bro. You need to just stop. Instead, now he's at Juventus, high profile club, and if he doesn't get top two, top three, uh, he's gonna suffer. And that Scudetto title with Napoli is going to start looking, in the eyes of many people, like a bit of a one off fluke. We all know that that wasn't the case. That was proper coaching by Spalletti. But his reputation will definitely take a hit. Now, how I feel about him going to Juve on a more personal Napoli fan level, guys, surprised. I mean, the guy has a tattoo on his arm, but it's the type of things that we need to just get used to nowadays, and also not hold that much regret. I mean, look, you have Conte, 20 years at Juventus, first going to Inter, then Napoli, right? So yeah, look, for me, I feel like anything is possible, right? I actually think that it's kind of standard nowadays to, let's say, betray your old club. So it doesn't, in Italian we say non fa né caldo né freddo, you know, like it's neither hot nor cold. It's just the standard. I admire people that don't do it, but if you do it, I actually don't care. Like it's just standard now. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lose sleep over Spalletti. That's for sure. I don't know if this is how you guys feel. Maybe some of you guys feel a little bit betrayed, but for me, ever since the whole Higuain going from Napoli to Juve, uh, man, now it's like anything goes, right? And then you start falling in love with some players like Kvara and all that, and then they also leave in a pretty scummy way, and yeah, you just get used to it, man. You just get used to that, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna cry over a coach. If it was a player, like if it was McTominay going to Juventus, I would be super upset. Super upset. I mean, when it's a player, I mean the player is the one that makes you stand up and scream when they score, and you feel the emotions with a player. With a coach, I think it's a little bit different. It's a bit more distant. But yeah, that's what I think. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Just treat it as workplaces, says Jacksu. Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. They just treat it like that. They just go from one contract to another, and that's it. 50 watching and 20 likes. Come on, guys. We can do better. I think what's happened recently, guys, is that I stopped asking for likes like a few years ago, and I need to go back. I need to go back to doing it. I hate doing it, but I'll go back to doing it, guys. Smash that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Why? Because that helps the algorithm, helps get the video out. If more people see the video, the channel grows. If the channel grows, then I'm happier. There really it ends there. There's no other consequences. It's just my happiness, no? Um, but who knows? Maybe if enough people like this, Napoli starts noticing, and we can do some nicer videos. Maybe we go there as we get invited, VIP, and then I wake up from my dream. But yeah, guys, smash that like button if you can. Um, let's see. Tomato says, "Oh, I am mad at Spalletti, promising Naples fans he won't play against Napoli. And what makes it worse is he has a Napoli tattoo, and whoever says it's the same with Conte, it ain't. He never promised Juve he will." Yeah, but Spalletti has always been a little bit of a he tried to always please the crowd. No, he just always said words that he always said the right words, and I don't know how much he meant some of these words. So so yeah. Um, what I will say is that he did say that he would never play or coach another team other than Napoli after winning the Scudetto. And then when he was asked about it, he was like, "Oh no, no, no! I only meant about the year afterwards." Instead, and that's really bad of him. Because I mean, look, we have the quote, "We're not stupid. We know exactly what you meant. Just admit that this was how you felt 2 years ago, and feelings change, and a bag of money came your way, and you wanted to resurrect your career after getting, a bit of a hit um, with the national team, and because of that, you accepted the Juventus job. Like, just be honest about it. We can all move on. We're all adults, and we just accept that that's the way life is at times. No, you say something, and 2 years later, you change your mind. Fine, it's okay. But to say, oh no, it's actually not what I meant. I actually meant this. It's like, dude, like you are full of BS. You are full of BS. By the way, thank you for joining the channel, guys. So smash that like button, subscribe, and join the channel as well. Let's go back to the game, guys. Elmas played well in the place of Gilmore, a different position. We didn't see him before. I think Elmas did well to kind of keep things somewhat organized. And Elmas, I think he can play in many different positions. I do like to see Elmas though much closer to the box, our box, not our box, the opposition's box. Um, I think that's where he's more dangerous. I think Elmas, you could put him in any position and he can play well, you know. But I do think that he then brings something a little bit more special when he gets closer to the box. But you could probably play Elmas center back or right back or goalkeeper, and he'd play well. Like he's just talented that way. But I wouldn't, start playing him there now. John Piccolo says, Dom, you the man. Coming from New York to the Atlanta. Sorry, coming from New York to the Atalanta and Karabakh games in November. If you're around, would love to buy you a Kinotto. Cheers. Awesome, man. Well, I will be at the game against Atalanta actually on the 22nd or 23rd of November. So, guys, I'm putting it out there. If you're going to the Atalanta game, I'll be there. I'll be in Curva B. So you just write to me on Instagram and we see what we can do. Even though organizing on the day of the game is always super super tricky. Vincenzo Bertillo says, those saying the 4-1-4-1 with KDB didn't work, we now have 0 goals from open play in the last 2 games. Many forget we had a striker who got 10 assists last year. And not anymore. Need to create more, in my opinion. So it's interesting, right? Because with the 4-1-4-1, we were scoring goals and we were letting in a lot of goals. So we were a little bit more balanced towards maybe going forward. And now with the 4-3-3, we've not been scoring that many goals, but we've also not been conceding. So it means that we're like super balanced, but we're not able to go forward. And it's interesting that it's almost the reverse of what Conte was saying would happen, because Conte was saying that with the 4-1-4-1 we should be tighter. Um, so this just proves that Conte doesn't know ball. No, I mean sometimes it just happens, right? It's just 2 games that went a certain way, and whether you play a 4-1-4-1 or 4-3-3, sometimes you're just not going to have that kind of spark at the top. Um, but but yeah. Nick says, please drop Politano next game. He did the same 2 moves, hasn't contributed to any goals this year. Okay, first of all, that's not true that he hasn't contributed to any goals. And I think the 2 more dangerous chances that came today from Napoli were because of Politano. One, the shot that the Como goalkeeper had to save, actually his only save, really. And then the other one was a Politano cross with a Hoyland header that, okay, the goalkeeper had to save, but it was right on him. So I don't think Politano's the issue. Do I think he's the best player? No. Would I love to see an upgrade? Yes. But do I think he's the problem that is holding us back? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, guys. And actually, I think that today we needed a guy like Politano on the field, because when you play against a team like Como who likes to transition, who has really good players going forward, you need someone like Politano to give you that little bit of extra help in a defense, guys. Let's go to the match analysis, guys, and make sure that you do smash the like button if you like the analysis of the game, guys, because in the end there's a lot of effort that goes into this, and uh, you know, I would appreciate your likes. So, look, the game in the first half, especially, full of pauses with injuries. I mean, there was even this between two Como players, guys, that one of them had to be substituted. Then we had Billy Gilmore that had to be taken off. At the end of the first half, there was Spinazzola, so it was a very stop and start kind of game. But let's take a look at how we suffered um, against this very good Como side at transitioning. And look, we were getting consistently put in these positions where we were having to defend 4v4, 4v3. Um, it was just consistent, right? And we had the gap between our midfielders and the defenders that was just too much, and too many Como players that were going in between our lines. It was carnage out there in the first half, right? And part of it is because I think of our structure of this 4-3-3, which didn't give us enough cover for players that love to be in the number 10 position, like Nico Pads. And I think, look, the 4-3-3 is a great system, but when you have two really good players that play down the middle, maybe having four midfielders is the better option, right? Maybe you can cover a bit more ground with four midfielders. You put them in a diamond position, and you just make sure that you block some of these passes that get to these players. So, if anything, guys, playing against Como, the 4-1-4-1 would have been the better tactical choice, in my opinion. And then there's other games, actually, most other games, the 4-3-3 is better because you don't have a lot of teams that put two guys down the center like that. Usually, you don't have to, let's say, win the midfielder that badly like you do against Como. Against Como, you have to win in the midfield. You have to have players there. You have to dominate. You have to cut the passing lines, because if you don't, they have players that transition down the center very fast, and they have more than just one. They have more than just Nico Pads. They have a few players that go into those kind of positions, guys. And what ends up happening is that one of the defenders has to step out and come in. That's what happened with Buongiorno. He had to step out of his line, but because the gap between the midfielders and the defense is so great, he's caught in no man's land. He's not close enough to block a pass or put some real pressure, and at the same time leaves a lot of space behind him. And that's when Morata was able to exploit the chance and get a penalty that then Milinkovic Savic has saved. Guys, I will pause there because I just dumped a lot of information on you. I will once again say, smash the like button, guys, and I mean it. I will be super annoying today. I will be super annoying. I will say smash the like button 20 times because I never say it, and today I want to say it a million times. So excuse me for that, but it is what it is. We have to remind people sometimes in this business. Graphic says, I look forward to Lukaku returning. He can teach Hoyland a thing or two, and they can share the burden of the many games. Yeah, look, sometimes when we assess this season, we tend to forget that Lukaku, who was maybe our second best player last season, is not here. And it wasn't anything planned. It was a last minute thing. And despite that, we are where we are, top of the table. We might lose that position come the end of the weekend, but look, as of now, we are top of the table, right? So we are doing the job that needs to be done. Nick says, I really want to see Lang and Neres start together. Yeah, that that might happen at some point. I don't think Lang has impressed me enough for me to have this like feeling of, oh, I'm dying to see you play from the start. Like, if he were to start a game, fine. If he doesn't, also fine. I just have not seen enough from Lang that I really feel his absence when he's not there. Now, guys, a player that we need to talk about today that I think really struggled and has been really struggling this year is Di Lorenzo, getting caught napping a few times. I mean, bro, our captain cannot be tummy down like that, bro. I mean, this it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Okay, I don't wanna torture the guy. You know, I have huge amounts of respect for Di Lorenzo, for what he's achieved. You guys know I have the signed Di Lorenzo shirt. Um, but it cannot it cannot go on like this, man. I mean, the guy needs to catch a break, and we should only play him when he's fully fresh and fully up for it. Conte must be seeing this on the training ground as well. You know, I mean, the guy is playing against people like Neres and stuff, and he must be getting, a good dose from Neres as well. And if Conte is seeing this in training, he needs to, raise it with the board that this is a must for the next transfer window to get a replacement for Di Lorenzo, just enough so that he can actually take a bit of a rest, of a break. Um, Johnny says, I was embarrassed when I saw our captain like that, but I think Spina will play right back some games and give Miguel some time on left back. Yeah, but we cannot even rely on Spina that much. I mean, look, he's now got a muscle injury. He is what he is, right? Anthony says, been with the club since 2019, played every minute, 32 years old. I agree he's been bad. I just think it's time to get a young 23-year-old we can integrate and, slowly transition. That's what I'm saying. Look, I have a huge amount of respect for the guy. He's been our guy for 6 years. I mean, he's done for the price tag and the expectations that he had coming into Napoli. He's done 1 million or 10 million times more than what anybody could have ever expected him to do. But we also need to think about the present and the future. And the future is that we need to start phasing Di Lorenzo out a little bit. And he cannot play 50 games a season anymore. And maybe he can play 25, which is still a lot. I'm not saying he needs to rot on the bench, just saying it's a lot, what he's doing now. Um, Anyways, we talked about why Gutierrez came on for Spinazzola because of an injury. Then we decided to do this tactic at the start of the second half, which shows a lot of intention. Like, yeah, we're gonna pass the ball back to Milinkovic Savic and we're all gonna run up like rugby or PSG or whatever. I actually hated this. I hated this point because since when are we a team that needs to rely on this kind of thing, man, of just kicking the ball forward? But it seems like with Conte, guys, we're a bit out of ideas in terms of playing nice football. Um, it's a bit sad to see, but hey, this is also now part of the team's DNA. You've got a goalkeeper that can do really good long passes. You've got tall people like Mctominay and Anguissa that can win headers, and so you play to your strengths. It's just a shame that sometimes we don't have other strengths that we can rely on. And yeah, man, haram ball, 100%. I mean, that's what I tweeted as well. Um, when I saw this, Napoli Nation TV says, "What up, everyone? Gulping down a pizza right now. Is that the right term? Gulping? Isn't that for drinks? Anyways, I let you pass on that. Or I give you a pass on that. Gulping down a pizza right now. But man, I want a pizza so bad. Why didn't I order a pizza? Yeah, now you're making me question life. It's a Saturday night. I should be having a pizza, but I'm not. Anyways, concentrate, Don, concentrate. Um, Gulping down a pizza right now, for me, definitely a point earned. Defense held their own in this one. Como is very good, and we were more threatening than them near the box. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we were that threatening near the box, to be honest. But I think, yeah, I think we aligned that this is a point earned and that we held our own. I'm gonna end the poll, guys, since we're back on this topic. And it seemed like it's super 50-50 on whether it's 1 point earned or two lost. But most of you guys are a bit more seeing glass half empty rather than half full, with 54% of you saying it's 2 points lost. So that's interesting, right? So we get to the second half, and the other reason why I see this as personally as glass half full is because I think from a tactical point of view, we were all over the place, guys. We had, this we had Neres sometimes behind our three midfielders, and we weren't able to understand the link up play that Como had, and we would leave, Neres having to defend two guys. I don't know why both McTominay and Gutierrez are ahead of the same man here. Obviously, then the ball's played in behind, and it puts Como through on goal. Like, we were just all over the place defensively, from a tactical point of view, guys, both in the first and second half. Luckily, the defenders, Buongiorno and especially Rachmani, were there to save the day more often than not, but it was because they are good defenders, not because from a tactical point of view we, did what we had to do. And then we get to a little bit of what we had going forward, which was, Politano with a shot here, Politano with a cross there to Hoyland. So again, cut the guy some slack. It's literally the only time we were able to produce anything was when Politano had the ball. So I will not accept Politano slander today. And look, this is just going back to the whole Rachmani thing. Great to see him back to play 90 minutes, and he held his own against tough opposition. This was towards the end of the game, 86th minute. He's wrestling, fighting with the ball. I mean, how we've missed Rachmani, man. What a what a pillar of that defense. And now I want to get to, the moment that I alluded to at the start of the game, or the start of the live, guys. Look, a Como player goes down, referee stops the game at 93:24. The game restarts at 93:55, 31 seconds later, and yet the referee blows the whistle with Napoli in possession at 94:09. So only 9 seconds added on, even though Como wasted 31 just then. The referee, like, what is he, like Dory, that he can't remember what happened 30 seconds ago? Hey, I'm Dory, like, dude, what? Come on, man. Like, the guy was literally on the floor for 30 seconds. Like, how do you have such short memory loss? It's impossible. It's not even something that happened on 4 minutes ago, at the start of added time. This literally was something that just happened. Okay, we got Dory refereeing for us, man. I mean, I don't want to have bad kind of intentions, or I don't want to think about conspiracies and all that. But man, ever since the whole thing against Inter, where we got a penalty that so many people were like, oh, it wasn't a penalty, which totally was. It totally was a penalty, but there was so much media hype about it. We've got two penalties conceded against us, a bunch of yellow cards. This, look, it wouldn't have made a difference if he had given us an extra 20 seconds. We were not going to score anyways. I'm not saying that he denied us a goal scoring opportunity, but you can also not be that sure. Like 99.999% sure that it would have still ended 0-0, but there was a 0.001% chance that we could have scored from this, you know? Um, and we will never know. We will never know. So, yeah, look, just one of those things. Breath was soft all game. 100%, man. 100%. What I want to do, guys, is show you a little bit about the predictor game because it's going super good, guys. There's so many people. Ooh, what did I do? There's so many people playing, so thank you a lot. I mean, the list keeps going down. So super happy to see all of you guys playing. We have in the round of October, Matty B scored 42 points, guys. He got 15 exact results. Actually, KDC got 18. Um, so he was more accurate than Matty. But whenever Matty um, didn't get the exact result, he at least was close to the result. So yeah, it's super interesting the way that the points get total. I'm super into this league, guys. But as you can see, I'm all the way down at the bottom here, number 11. Uh, I'm not doing so well. But look, Matty won the round of October. So reach out to me, Matty, on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, so we can schedule a video. You are the October winner. If we go to the main leaderboard, he's winning as well. And yeah, this is how it looks, you know. Few of you guys that are commenting now are in this are in this fight. It's gonna be interesting. And if we look at just round 10, which is of today, I guess, and yesterday, we don't have the results yet because it's still, you know, still ongoing, but I'll update you guys next time. So that's on that. Make sure you subscribe to be a member to play. DM me if you need any info on that. Let's go to the player ratings, guys. So I put 0-0 for my player ratings. For my player ratings, what am I saying? I put 0-0 for I put a lot of sixes for my player ratings, guys, because in the end, I think we didn't play that bad. We didn't play that good. It's a 0-0 against a top five team. Pretty much everybody gets a six, except Di Lorenzo, who I thought was a bit poor today. He gets a five, and Vanja and Rachmani get a seven. Look, Vanja, you could say, oh, but he saved the penalty. Why isn't he more? Bro, don't be like the ref. Don't be Dory, okay? Don't forget that he was the one that conceded the penalty. Anyways, I don't think he had to come out like that. The way that the ball was going and the trajectory, I think it didn't pose that much of a goal scoring threat where Morata was. He was kind of on the side of the box, you know, it wasn't like directly coming towards the goal, and he was going to be on his weaker left foot. He would have had to cut inside to go on his right, and by that time Spinazzola would have maybe caught up with him. So I don't think it was necessary to have Milinkovic go for that. But hey, look, he went for it, he paid the penalty, and then he saved the penalty. Fine. Um, we give him a 7 because he made up for it. And then Rachmani because 90 minutes, really solid, really, really good against tough opposition. Um, I really liked seeing Rachmani back. Belkema guys will struggle to get minutes because I think it's very clear that Rachmani is our best defender, more than Buongiorno, which is interesting because not many of us would have said that at the start of last year, but he's earned that right playing every single minute last year, and when he's been missing, we've struggled. So he's our best defender. Buongiorno was a big investment, future captain of the team, no doubt. Um, so Belkema is gonna have a hard time. And then yeah, we had Elmas and Gutierrez and all that. And again, they nothing special, right? Nothing to write home about. It's not nothing bad, nothing good. That's what I will say about all these players today. Nothing bad, nothing good. Right, guys, let's go to the press conference of Antonio Conte. And when we can close it and we go for whatever we need to do on this Saturday night, whether it's eating a pizza or chilling or going out or whatever. But let's see what Conte had to say. Um, so they ask him, what do you think of this game? And I think he says, look, the game, we can sum it up pretty simply. Como missed the penalty, and the balance could have swung on their side, but in the second half, there was only Napoli that was on the field. Vanja didn't have to do a single save. For me, it was a nice game. European level football, two teams that pressed all over the field. Statistics are very similar. We had a bit more shots, and yeah, at the end, I told my players not to go and press their player, their goalkeeper, because he was always able to find a passing solution. So it was a waste of energy for us. Como is a really good reality, like a good team. Um, all their players are super strong. I congratulated the players because I'm happy for the game that we had today. In the second half, we tried to win, but it's normal that Como tying against Napoli gets a lot of attention. But they were also a team that won against Juve. Now we need to recover some energies. And I have a lot of positives to take home from this game. Um, and I also want to congratulate those that entered from the bench today. Elmas was in a completely new position and he did a really good game. Gutierrez also played well because Spinazzola has had a bit of problems. And we also have Lobo coming back from injury. So, yeah, he had 2 minutes in his legs, but we risked it a little bit by giving him 8. Rachmani also came back, so this is all very good news. They ask him about, do you see this glass half empty or glass half full? And he says, look, we don't want to be, happy with a 0-0, but for me, it's half full because the team today gave me some really good indications. I'm happy and I'll sleep serene tonight because I have players who are warriors and they fought a lot today. Romelu has also come back to training and we're super happy to have him with us. Rasmus also was one of a player that came back from injury and he had a bit of rust, but he fought as well. And for us, that's all very important. And stuff like Elmas playing it, it even in a position that's not his is and still playing well. It's super nice to see. So look, that's Conte. He's satisfied, and I think that's how we need to interpret the game as well. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, we dropped points against Como, we suck, we're the worst. Like, guys, this is a team that will fight to go into the Champions League. We might see Como in the Champions League next year, and tying against these teams over a course of 38 games in a season is fine, especially when we don't have Lukaku, we didn't have Lobotka for 99% of the game, we are struggling with injuries all over the place, or people are coming back from injury. Like, this is a very precious point, and we need to start building some continuity with clean sheets, and we did that. So look, I'm super happy with how the game went, guys. So look, there's also this comment here from Graphics says 7 is quite fair for Vanja. He also had many long balls aimed at no one. That's also true. There were some times when he was a bit wasteful with the ball. So yeah, look, save the penalty, but it's not like he had this amazing game. So look, um, I think a 7 was good. Tomato agrees with Conte. Como our top 6 team, says Anthony. So look, we're all aligned here, that this is a decent result, nothing to be happy about, but nothing to ring alarm bells. So yeah, and look, I'm excited for them moving forward as well. That they will I don't think Como will ever become like a proper reality, because I think some of their players that they have, like Nico Paz, will end up going back to Real Madrid, or they'll move to Inter or whatever. I think Fabregas, he's so young that he's going to be aiming for better managerial positions as well. Like, he's probably aiming for the Barcelona job after Flick. It's different from Atalanta, who were actually building a project with a mature coach that was kind of happy to stay there for nearly 10 years. And the players that they were developing, Zapata, Ilicic, Papu Gomez, Lukman, Retegui, Scamacca, like all these players that they had, they were players that they they had ownership of, right? With Nico Paz, who's Como's best player, they don't really have this kind of ownership, right? Real Madrid can always take him back, and they wouldn't get much out of it, Atalanta. So I don't see them reaching the levels that Atalanta had, of winning the Europa League top four for 5, 6 times in 10 years. Like, I just don't see it. Um, and and yeah, but still, it's a good team, at least for this year. What's true is that they have super rich owner, the richest owner maybe in all of Europe. So they can still just keep injecting money into this project. But I do think that Nico Pads and Fabregas are like the two key pillars, and I don't see them staying beyond this year. So whatever happens, even if they inject money, they'll have to start kind of from 2 or 3 steps back next year, unless the guy pulls off a rabbit out of the hat, um, convincing them to stay. Maybe with Champions League football, if they're able to get top four, actually. Or if one of them leaves, he just goes and acquires another, incredible player. But I think Nico Paz is going to be hard to replace for them, because he's so good. I mean, he's definitely top three performers in the Serie A. So, so yeah. Anyways, guys, I think for me that's everything. I stated what I had to state, about this game, about this performance. I think we got a lot of your comments in as well. So yeah, I think we're all satisfied with this live. And guys, don't forget, smash that like button, subscribe, become a member, join the Napoli Talk League. It's fun, it's addicting. You get a chance to get on a video with me. You can win merchandise at the end of the year. It's super fun. So do that. DM me on Instagram or Twitter if you don't know how. But yeah, guys, see you next time. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.